This is one of the most beautiful songs ever written, and it'll leave you not sure if you're supposed to be feeling depressed or happy or sentimental, all because it uses a harmonic illusion that makes us constantly feel like we're falling. Prepared to be left emotionally confused and maybe conflicted, but your ears will thank you. This is Elis Regina and Antonio Carlos Jobim in 1974 singing Aguas de Marzo. Okay, wait. First of all, what a way to start. Talk about ambiguous, right? And then we just hear.
É pau, é pedra, é o fim do caminho, é o resto de toco, é pouco sozinho, é caco de vidro, é a vida, é o sol, é a noite, é a morte, é vazio, é
Oh man, so much just happened. Like, we're gonna break it down so that you're with me every step of the way, but I'm telling you, so much just happened, and it really laid the groundwork for everything this song is gonna be. And it's so exciting because we are creating an illusion. Not yet, we still have to turn it around before we start to see what we're doing, but it's rain falling that never stops. Check this out.
É pau, é pedra, é o fim do caminho, é o resto de toco, é pouco sozinho, é caco de vidro, é a vida, é o sol, é a noite, é a morte, é vazio.
We start on B flat over A flat. B flat over A flat just means the chord B flat over the root note A flat. Okay, so the first move we make is perhaps one that nobody was expecting, but as soon as it happens, it feels right, because we drop our root note a half step to G, and we get this chord. Now, what is this chord? The answer to that question is going to be why this harmonic illusion works so well. And the answer is, well, we don't necessarily know. If we're basing it on just the root, then this chord is G minor 6. Right? That's G minor 6. We can rearrange where the notes are played. We can drop that E down an octave and play our root note. But here's the thing. What if this root note isn't the root of the chord? What if it's a note inside the chord? Okay, well, let's take it away. And let's look at this shape right here. This is E minor 7 with a flat 5. It's an E minor 7 chord. And we've simply moved the 5 down a half step to get a flat 5. E minor 7 flat 5. Sometimes people call this half diminished, right? Because if we moved this note down, we would get a full diminished. So they call it half diminished. Some people don't like that. Don't worry about it. E minor 7 flat 5 for the sake of clarity here. But notice G is in that chord. Well, there's no reason we have to use the root of a chord as the lowest note. So that could be inside of an E minor 7 flat 5 chord. So far we have G minor 6, E minor 7 flat 5. We don't know which it is. That's going to be a key factor as to why this works so well. But then we immediately follow that with what an absolutely beautiful chord. And if you know this channel at all, you know what chord this is. This is, in my view, at this particular moment, an E flat minor 6 chord. Now, if we're in the key of B flat, which I guess we haven't even really established yet, but let's just say we are. That makes that 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 chord, but minor. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's such a great chord. So we've gone B flat over A flat, whatever this is, G minor 6 or E minor 7 flat 5, E flat minor 6. We can go right back to our B flat major chord with an F as the lowest note, which is the 5th of B flat. And then we get this chord. This chord, oh man. This chord, E7, sharp 11, we got our 9th in there, right? And it is so perfect because it's the chromatic movement between where we just were chromatic motion, and then it releases so beautifully into E flat major 7. And then we're going to turn the whole thing around with an A flat 7 sharp 11 chord. And it kind of looks like an A flat 7 with just a B flat major chord over the top, because we can absolutely play that and we get the same exact effect. And it works really, really well. And that sets us up to go right back to where we started. No, it goes right back to the B flat. Oh. Oh my God. Okay, so much is going on there, and it's just absolutely incredible. So we worked our way around, and we ended up back at B flat. So what do we do when we come back to this part? We get this beautiful B flat sus chord, right? I call this, I like to play this shape over B flat sus a lot. I kind of look at it as if you have a B flat shell, and if you just go up a whole step from B flat and play a minor 7th chord, you get this. What is it actually? Well, it's really like a B flat sus 13 voicing is what it is. But I just find that these notes on the piano, it's such a great way to play that chord, okay? Because it goes right to B flat dominant easily, and that releases us. It's like a 2, 5, into the 1. But in this, we do not go there. We go somewhere else, and it kind of keeps this descending feeling going again. Listen closer. There's this chord again. Only now we're not playing a G in the bass. We're playing. Are we playing an E? Wow. Oh man. Yeah, listen to that. And that actually brings up an interesting question. Is this E minor 7 flat 5, or is it C7? See, this is, again, this is what makes this so exciting, because what we're dealing with essentially are common tones. Common tones are notes that are shared across multiple chords. I'll give you a really easy example. Let's take a C major triad. Okay? Now this contains C, E, and G. But if we go to a G major triad, does that contain any of the same notes as the C major triad? Well, it has a G, a B, and a D. Well, the B and the D don't match, but the G does. There's a G in C, and there's a G in G major. Okay, so G is a common tone between those two chords. Now, once we start dealing with chords that have a lot of notes, it gets much easier to find common tones. So as you can see, some of these chords that we're creating here have so many notes. This B flat sus 13 voicing is just super lush with all kinds of notes. We have B flat, F, A flat, C, E flat, G, B flat, right? All these notes. And then when we move on to like that E half diminished chord, and we go, what is this? Is it an E chord? Is it a C chord? Is it a G chord? Because it could kind of be all of those things. And that's what makes this work so well. Now, this song is about rainfall. It's about the waters of March. In Rio de Janeiro, March is when there are a lot of storms and it rains a lot. And so Antonio Carlos Jobim wrote this song about that imagery. And in fact, it's not even written like a narrative. It's written more like a series of images. And that's kind of the whole idea, is this beautiful, beautiful place. And during March, it's just gorgeous with the rainfall, but it's constantly falling down. And that downward motion is what we're maintaining here. Now, why is it an illusion? Well, because there are so many parts where the turnaround is very subtle. The turnaround is not super obvious. And what I mean by turnaround is when we kind of get back to a place like we can get back to B flat somehow, right? Because in the very beginning, we didn't even start on a super defined place. We had this A flat in the bass and immediately started moving down. Now that right there, the E flat, to the A flat and releasing back to B flat. It is a turnaround and it does move up. But it's almost like your brain would be forgiven if you didn't even really notice, especially because their next motion, we start going down again. Now here, this is going to trick your brain even more because yes, we have a resolution to B flat, but we're not using B flat as our root note. We're using F. And when we use F as the root note, it sort of removes the finality of the resolution. Now we're like, well, we still don't quite feel like we're home. And then when we get that, well, okay, now we're clearly going somewhere else. And then we get this again. And it just kind of goes around. Oh, what a beautiful progression. But it cycles so well and it has this downward motion, much like rainfall, much like something called a shepherd's tone. Now, a shepherd's tone, if you haven't heard it, is kind of disturbing, but it does the same thing. Check this out. It's so weird. It's so hard to listen to. But there's something very important happening. You're hearing it go down and down and down and down. How is this possible? What a bizarre sound. I'm going to stop it now so that we don't have to endure it anymore. But it's a very simple answer. And the answer is octaves. Okay? If I take all of those notes and I play them all, I can't play them all. I don't have big enough hands. But I can play 4 of them. Maybe you've heard this before. If I keep working my way up. Did you notice what I did? At a certain point, I drop the top note off, and then I add one on the bottom. But I'm still maintaining the octaves there. But if you started adding all this, eventually, we don't hear as well the higher we get or the lower we get. We only have a certain amount that our ears can actually hear. So that's how the shepherd tone works, is that it gets one frequency to a point where we almost can't hear it, and way up at the top, and then way at the bottom, same thing. And then it just drops one off and adds one back at the top, and you never notice. So all the stuff that's right in the center where we hear really well just constantly descends or ascends, depending on whatever shepherd tone you're listening to. So this harmony is almost doing a similar thing because the way that it turns around and ends up back on B flat is almost disguised, partially because we use this F as the root. It doesn't go there. My brain wants to go right there because that's the most common resolution. It goes there. Which, how beautiful is that? Ugh. You could just keep going around and around and around and around, and the whole thing just kind of feels like it's falling constantly. And that's what makes this so beautiful. There's a little thing for the beginning. Now we move back to the first thing we heard, which was a different root note, but because they're common tones with that, and that, like, we don't hear the difference. We just hear this constant. We just hear this constant descending harmony. Even though it's not always descending, it does turn around, it does go back up, but it's just so brilliant. You know, too, also, the melody almost sounds a little like raindrops, doesn't it? Listen to that. We had this counter melody, or inner voice movement, whatever you want to call it, right? And descending again, just a single note. Oh. all the stuff going on in here is absolutely incredible.
São as águas de março fechando o verão, é a promessa de vida no teu coração.
All right, so right there, we just randomly on a place where you would expect. In fact, I think we stop on B flat, but immediately we hear, which in B flat that would be the flat 7 and the sharp 11. But we quickly go like, hey, we're completely modulating. What are we doing? We're going minor thirds. This is so wild. For a second, we hover here on like E over D, and then we drop it a minor third to D flat over B, or C sharp over B, and then we drop it another minor third, which brings us right back to our home base, where we started the whole song, B flat over A flat.
Cobra é pau.
Oh, man.
É belo horizonte. É uma febre terçã. São as águas de março fechando o verão. É a promessa de vida no teu coração.
Wow, this song is so good. Okay, so right there we're using a couple different devices. Mainly this, we have our major chord, home bass, B flat major. That's it, right? But then let's keep our root note, but throw our chord up a minor third to D flat and just crawl down chromatically. That's it, right? So D flat major over B flat, C over B flat, B over B flat. What a crunch that is. And then right back home.
Pedra, vinho, fogo, vinho, hidro.
We're constantly using some variation of this. Wow. And it just feels like we're falling. It just feels like we're falling the whole time. Whenever I hear things like this, I'm just like so drawn to it. And you want to go like, why does this work? Like, why do I feel the way I feel? You know, and like, it's very easy for us to kind of break it down and see what's happening here. But then you just have to marvel at the way that Antonio Carlos Jobim sat down and said, you know what, let's create this harmonic illusion to match the beauty of Rio de Janeiro in March. It's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. Anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. YouTube thinks that you'll like watching this video, so if you want to watch another one, there it is. And thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you maybe over in that one, or maybe in the next one.